Monday, May 15th, and I've been away getting some work done. At the same time, I don't record on Saturday, but I've checked in and seen this really, to me, interesting communication between Appa, Pasa, and Musa on Turkey, and which seemed to have been started by one of my Turkish videos. So I'm going to jump in here, if I may, because I found it really interesting. What I always love to see are people from outside the country, or the country we're talking about, telling us or me or whomever's watching their ideas, because it really gives you a good perspective on where it's coming from. But let me give you my perspective on Turkey. It's a little bit stronger, if I may, than I've been before, a little bit more detailed, and we'll go from there. I consider Turkey a friend of America. I consider the Turks really good people. They've gone through a lot. Their history is beautiful. The country, I've never been there, but seen pictures, are beautiful, and then they went through their whole secular phase, and then broke out and took control from the army. And when President Erdogan first came to power, I thought he was an incredible breath of fresh air, and he was making more democracy, taking power back from the military, and the people were behind it, and I thought that was great. I still think that was great. I think the big mistake was when the EU, the European Union, didn't bring Turkey in to be a member of the EU. Turkey wanted to be a member of the EU. They weren't allowed to be. They were made a lot of promises, or come here, and never got it. And I think the EU was really wrong for doing that, for keeping the Turks out. And I wish we could have pushed more, but the United States is not a member of the EU, and now you can see Britain wanted out. But I think that would have made Turkey more a member of the Western world, even though it already is, but even more a partner of the Western world, which would have been great. So I can see how the Turks over the years have really started to look askance at the West and go, kind of like, what's going on with you guys? And as then becoming more inward looking, and as the world started changing with all the other countries the same way in that area, President Erdogan just started taking more and more power. The problem you've got is that before the coup, the attempted coup, happily not successful, but before the attempted coup, he was already jailing people left and right, taking control of the total control of the military, total control of really the assembly. He's been putting all these people in jail. If you speak up against him, he's not going to put up with it. Reporters are going in. And since the coup, attempted coup, everybody's been getting put into jail. And then this election did not allow other views really on TV. The election was all for pro Mr. Erdogan. And I believe, Turkey in many ways, though, is split like America, where you have the more conservative and a little bit more liberal, and it seems that the votes in the cities went against him, and the votes outside the cities went for President Erdogan, kind of like it is here in America. And he pulled it out, though I don't think it was a really fair election. Let's be upfront about it. Now, as to what the United States is doing in Syria with the Kurds, I understand Turkey's problem with the Kurds. The Kurds got to stop and leave Turkey alone. And you got to try to work something out. But right now, with the United States putting their backing behind the Kurds, some weapons to the Kurds to help take out ISIS, that's just our position. I mean, understand, America, with all of its faults, and we got lots of them, and it's really questioned. I question President Trump, though. You all know where I stand with him as being a Machiavellian. I really believe that if he says that if the Kurds stay in Raqqa and won't dislodge, assuming, whenever the victory happens with ISIS, at that point, I think he'll do it. He'll back it up. I don't think he's President Obama, and I think you got to listen to him on that. I also think, as Turks, why do you want your troops going in there? Let the Kurds take the brunt of the problem, and then you can deal with it. Let them take the brunt of the military. At the same time, you look at Israel, you guys. Israel's a real democracy. It's parliamentary, but it's a real democracy. Read their papers. The Supreme Court overrules Netanyahu. I don't like Netanyahu that much as a leader, but at the same time, he's the voice of the people in a true democracy with real TV stations and real radio stations and real newspapers and real judiciary and real opposition parties. So you really can't compare the two. But what's good is that Israel and Turkey are becoming friendly again. And that's what's important. And we go back to really the most important issue is we got the Turks, the Saudis, the Gulf states, Israel, coming together to be able to defend against this rise of Iran, Syria, Hezbollah, the Shiites versus Sunni situation. And that's what's the most important thing. You got to take a step back, guys, I think, and look at it in those terms. However, overall, I'm loving the input. Please keep putting it in there. I think Turkey's our friend and will always be our friend. And I don't think Russia counts because what are you backing them for? We got the money to help with trade and all the other things. And in the end, we're really the best friends around. We really are. And the Turks are good friends too. So I look forward to more input. Oh, I'm sorry, David Duke? What are you talking about? Nobody listens to David Duke here. Nobody except maybe 5 people. So don't even talk about that dude. So right on. Thanks. That's great. And we'll talk soon. Peace.